Hello, everybody. Really happy for you to join us. It's Dolphin Kasper here with Dan Andronescu. We just met officially, directly, but we're both involved in an incredible event happening near Toronto this summer called ManCamp. And I just wanted to have a little bit of time to sit down with Dan to hear about who he is, what he's bringing to the table for ManCamp, and for those men out there who have been feeling like it's time for something more, something deeper, something more meaningful. This event may be for you. So Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to join. In our preamble before I pressed record, Dan was sharing about his work being really centered around empowerment and in particular the breath. I have some really good friends that do breath work in a pretty profound way. So I have a firsthand experience of how important and how powerful it is that we reconnect with our body, that we reconnect with our breath as a kind of ground floor from which we move out into the world. So I'd love to hear from you a little bit about your work and what you're bringing to ManCamp, and we can go from there.
Yes, thank you, Dolphin. Thank you for having me on this cast. It's really important for us to share the work that we're doing at ManCamp and to inspire men to come together to carry the torch and to remember that when we are together, we get to amplify our growth and we get to collapse timelines by sharing our zone of genius and to remember through our strengths. But also not to transform, not to regenerate, and to actualize all that we are, not to remember the technologies of the archetypes within, and to bring those into wholeness, to remember when we are into the shadow of this specific archetype or when we are in the light, to recognize those and to bring that into our remembrance and to navigate the present moment with authenticity. My zone of genius is not to cultivate presence, and at the foundation, for me, this is breath cultivation, as is the number one tool that we can use not to anchor presence, right? We cannot breathe in the past, we cannot breathe in the future, but we can use the breath not to navigate different states of being, but also to create the state of being. So to me, cultivating presence is the one thing that we can gift ourselves infinitely. As the biggest act of self-love, self-care, and remembering how to cultivate presence and to create the lens that we observe through. This is the power that we have to create our state of being. And we often tend to forget this through all the distractions in the world. And by coming together, we get to share our zone of genius. And this is mine that I'm excited to inspire them at ManCamp to remember. And beyond this tool that I'll be using, my role at ManCamp would be as a pod leader. So this year we have put more emphasis on integration during the experience. So we'll be grouping the brothers into groups of 15 to 20 men. Each pod, this will be called a pod. Each pod will have two leaders, a junior leader and an elder. That will supporting us to integrate the experiences, not to continuously share what we're learning and to share with each other. And there's different workshops that not everyone gets to to attend all of them. Right, we have choice each day for different archetype, different workshops, and coming together to integrate, to share the insights, and of course beyond the experience itself, to support the brothers with integration with calls with breathwork. And this is my role as a pod leader and as a steward of the breath, and as a guide for self-engineering.
Amazing. You said a few things there that I wanted to pull out. For me, presence is crucial. You mentioned we don't breathe in the past, we don't breathe in the future. In fact, everything happens in the present, but there's a way we can relate to our imagined past and future that in a way takes us out of full presence. And what I love about the breath and what I love about breath work is that it inherently includes the body. Like, I actually have to be with my body to be with my breath. And there's actually neuroscience that's now telling us that, when we get really triggered, when we get highly stressed, the prefrontal cortex goes quiet. But something that's called the mohawk of awareness, these elements of the brain that provide a capacity for self-awareness of the body, like an awareness of what's going on somatically, is still highly active and is actually in connection with the amygdala. So is there anything you want to say about, you talked about, navigating states of being, but also creating states of being. Can you make a distinction there and how the breath work really supports that?
Yeah. So by creating states of being is first no engaging into the expansion of self-awareness, right? So the one thing that's the easiest thing to bring awareness to is to physical sensations, right? Like we get, when we pinch ourselves, we get cause and effect right away, right? But it's about expanding that awareness to more subtle movements of life force, right? So from the physical body to, which is a more gross manifestation of the life force of the prana, whatever you want to call it, to more subtle to thought, to more subtle to emotion, to more subtle to spirit. And from here, we get to observe that there's one thing that permeates all of them, right? And that's always there, and that's the observer. The observer is, it's always there. We cannot get rid of it. We can forget it, but the observer is always there. By remembering the observer, we get to anchor presence. And from this state, we can go even a bit deeper, and remembering that the creator is one with the observer, right? We get to create the lens that we choose to observe to, right? So by anchoring presence, observing is like, oh, the state of being that I'm in right now, is it serving me or not? And I'm observing through a lens of grief or through a lens of joy, whatever it is. And we can choose to honor that, to fully be with that state of being, with that emotion, with that thought. Or we can choose not to create the lens that is supporting us to come closer to our goals, to actualizing more awareness, perhaps. And the breath is the anchor for all of this as it permeates all. But we can use the breath to build the skill of interoception, of observing within the physical sensations, and then make that skill more acute, more subtle, by observing things that are more subtle, right? Like as thoughts, and then more subtle as emotions, and then more subtle the observer, and then going into inquiry, who is it that it's observing, and creating the lens to observe through. Right? So the breath is the anchor for all this, is the foundation for inner engineering. And this is my mission on earth. First is to actualize as much as I can of myself, and to inspire other men not to be continuously active on the journey of self-exploration, self-discovery, self-integration, and eventually self-expression in creation. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. There's something else you said there that I wanted to touch on. You mentioned archetypes and the inference or the implication of what I feel like you're saying there is that these archetypes of what we're capable of pre-exist, like they're already there in us, but they're not necessarily embodied. And so I think there's a lot of men in the world right now that may be struggling, that may be confused, that maybe have some sense of there's more possible for me, that I want to be more, I want to do more, I want to create more positive impact in myself, in my life, but also in the world around me. And I think there can be a kind of hopelessness for some men if it's gone very badly for a long time, or there's a sense that they've tried and just haven't been able to kind of get over that hump of really feeling momentum of empowerment, or really feeling a momentum of being on purpose in life. Can you say a little bit about how we maybe use the work that you do with breath and self-awareness and embodiment to tap into those archetypes and to begin to act them out in a way that has them become who we are, instead of just a nice idea that we have about who we can become?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all of this can be weaved in together. So this state of or sense of hopelessness may come when we are on the journey alone, when we're lone wolfing, and when we come together in a gathering like this, in a festival, we get to spend 4 days together, really learning from each other. We remember that our challenges, our struggles, our celebrations, we all share them. And we get to amplify this acceleration of self-remembrance by sharing our zones of genius, right? So when I come, I've been starting studying breath control, for 12 years, I get to share from this space, right? So from this, perhaps you may get to collapse some timelines that I can share some insights through that took me 12 years to learn, in just a simple conversation, right? And, the archetypes, these are technologies that are embedded in our DNA from past generations, from our ancestors. Like, past generations and cultures all had, a king, a lover, a magician, right, a warrior, a wild man. There's many different archetypes, but these are the major ones, and each one of them has a light side and a shadow side. It's about recognizing this by bringing awareness, to that state of being. Or am I in my tyrant king right now? Am I demanding all these things from my family, for example? Or am I in the kind king? Am I providing, for the community, for the collective, by sharing my zone of genius? Right. So, we get to remember, these archetypes. Each day we'll have, different workshops specifically for each archetype, and we have, selected some beautiful brothers that, get to share their genius in that. And, with breath, we get to, to cultivate those states of being, and not to activate them as well.
Awesome. So for you, if you're, you've been on this path for several years now, was there something that guided you, led you, invited you in? Can you say anything about the transition for you between maybe your time before this work or feeling more empowered? And can you track to the elements that had you say yes? Because to get to a good place sustainably involves real work. Like, anyone who thinks there's a 3 easy steps to becoming empowered in life as a man, I think is just confused. So can you speak a little bit to that transition for you? And maybe we can finish the conversation with something that allows men who, again, are kind of, their ear is peaked, they're interested, but they're not quite ready yet to jump on the ManCamp website and register. I'd love to leave them with an invitation that feels compelling.
Yeah, the transition for me. The first thing that came up for me, as you prompted that question, was my first yoga experience. And my first yoga class, I had an outer body experience, and I literally popped out of my body and saw myself from above. And it happened during a slow breathing exercise at the end of the class. It was a yoga nidra exercise, yoga for depressed. And I exploded out of my body, saw myself from above. And as an engineer at the time, I couldn't comprehend how what appeared as a dream, I thought that fell asleep, had a repercussion on my physical being for 3 weeks. My ears were ringing, and I knew that my teacher would have an answer for me. He was one of the oldest teachers at the time in the city, and I shared with him the experience, and he looked at me deeply, and he said that this was a gift. This was a gift from the inner teacher, showing you that you've been here before. Continue. And I started questioning that. What do you mean I've been here before? No one has shared. I never had an experience like that before, but that really stirred up the archetype of the explorer. To remember that I'm an explorer of self, that it is my duty and my joy, to remember more and more of who I am. And that has put me on a path of deep self-exploration. At the beginning, yoga was the tool for me, and then eventually ended up going to study in the same lineage, and then from there cultivating different breathing techniques, different tools that have allowed me to keep exploring myself, from breath to plant medicine to many other tools. The most empowering ones have been the ones that there's no other stimulus but the breath. And we get to anchor deep presence, and we get to to observe, to remember information that's stored in our body, in our DNA, and it comes up through that. Yeah. And
Cool. Yeah. So Dan, it's been a pleasure. These little conversations are short, but I feel like I got a real sense of you. I'm really looking forward to being there, just outside of Toronto at ManCamp with you, to create space, to create opportunities, to explore, to learn and grow together. And for those men that are listening, that this was of interest or that you have curiosity, mancamp.ca is the website. I'll make sure there's a link somewhere in what we're sharing. And yeah, we just invite you, take the step, take the leap. If you're feeling like it's time for something new, something different, something better, I really feel like this could be it for you. So Dan, thank you so much. Any last words for you? And then we'll move on with our day and hope to see the men that joined for this conversation to join us in Toronto.
Yeah, no, because my last words would be, to stay active in a continuous and perpetual way on the journey of self-discovery. To build discipline on that. That's the duty that one has to oneself, to remember our the infinite potential that resides within. And this comes with cultivating infinite self-love. This is the one thing we can gift ourselves infinitely, self-love. And the highest act of self-love is being present with what is in this moment. And that's how we expand awareness and remember more who we are. So, remember the inner engineer by cultivating presence.
Dan, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. I will see you soon. And yeah, we hope that people can join us. It's coming up quick. So basically 2 weeks away. You gather for ManCamp.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, dear brother. It was a pleasure. Looking forward to connecting in person.
Me as well. Cheers.